Alright guys, it is that time of the week again and we are back for some championship transfer rumours. The EFL season gets back underway tomorrow and I couldn't be more excited. If you've not seen yesterday's video, make sure to go ahead and check that out. We did our week 1 championship score predictions. You won't want to miss that one. But of course the focus of today will be on all of the transfer news currently going around the championship, and we've got quite a bit to dive into as well. Still got another few weeks of transfer activity before the window shuts, and the later we get into the window, the more we start to see clubs panicking and trying to scramble and getting any last minute deals over the line. So plenty to go through today. If you're going to enjoy, make sure to drop a like. Without any further ado, let's jump in. Quite an interesting one. We've seen Portsmouth signing Matt Ritchie on a free transfer, the 34-year-old returning to the club where it all started. It's quite an interesting one. Right at the very start of the window, this was something that was rumoured. Ritchie potentially returning to Portsmouth, obviously, with his contract at Newcastle coming to an end. Seemed to all go quite quiet for a few weeks, but it's since been confirmed, and you'd think he'd had a nice bit of experience there into John Mousinho's side. And another free transfer that Portsmouth have snapped up is Andre Dazelle. He was obviously available on a free this summer, had been training and on trial with Sheffield United. In the end, the Blades opted against offering him a contract, and he's since landed at Portsmouth instead. Someone like Dazelle will give Pompey a bit more competition and cover in that position, and is someone who does have a lot of championship experience under his belt as well. And we've seen Cardiff signing Alex Robertson. Portsmouth were also in contention to sign the Man City midfielder this summer after how well he did on loan at Fratton Park last season, but Cardiff have won the race for his signature. I definitely think that's a signing to get excited about, a deal being agreed of around about £3 million in the end. Up until this point of the window, Cardiff have mostly been using the free transfer market, but they've dropped a fair bit of money on Robertson. Comes in at a really good age, and if he has a few good years at Cardiff, there's definitely some good sell-on value there for the future. I have to admit, I am a big fan of this signing. Sheffield United have signed Harry Souttar. Just imagining how many set pieces the Blades are going to score this season with Harry Souttar and Kiefer Moore both dropping straight into that starting 11. Felt like he was dealt a little bit of a bad hand at Leicester last season. Obviously, he wasn't really involved in that promotion under Maresca whatsoever, but really capable defender, especially at championship level, as we've seen previously from his days at Stoke City. Absolutely towering presence at the back, and I think that that's a really nice pickup from Sheffield United on loan for the season. And we also saw the Blades signing Alfie Gilchrist as well, coming on loan from Chelsea. Quite a few championship clubs had put their hat in the ring to go ahead and sign the Chelsea youngster on loan for the season, but Sheffield United have won the race to sign him, and suddenly that Blades squad is really starting to come together. Don't get me wrong, quite a bit of business is still needed between now and the end of the window, especially to patch up the squad in terms of depth and things like that, but when you put their strongest 11 on paper together, they're looking pretty set now. West Brom have signed Juventus fullback Gianluca Fabrotta. Obviously, they were in need of patching up that position with Townsend going to Ipswich. I think that one's quite an interesting deal. Earlier in the window, the Italian fullback had been linked with a move to QPR, but nothing materialised on that front in the end. He has ended up in the Championship instead at West Brom. He's a 25-year-old Italian fullback. Not played that much for Juventus during his spell at the club. He was mostly a sort of utility player and then spent most of his time out on loan, but West Brom have now got him on a permanent basis. I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more of him in the Championship. Another nice pickup from West Brom is signing Lewis Dobbin on loan for the season from Aston Villa. 21-year-old winger comes into that West Brom side and will look to add a little bit more excitement in the final third. Certainly think that with West Brom's financial position at the moment, they'll have to utilise the loan market quite smartly this summer, and I think that signing's an indication of that. Norwich have completed a deal for Callum Doyle, signing the Manchester City defender on loan for the season. Once again, really big fan of that deal. Doyle, always been a player who I've rated quite highly at championship level. Obviously involved in that Leicester promotion last season from the Championship. Looked good previously from his time at Coventry as well. It had been rumoured for quite a few weeks, but it's since got over the line. I'd give that deal a big green tick for sure. Burnley have signed St Etienne goalkeeper Etienne Green on a permanent basis. 24-year-old gives Burnley another option in net for the season, along with Vaclav Tlagley and James Trafford. Finally, seen my team Preston signing a wing-back as well. Kane Kesler-Hayden coming on loan from Aston Villa for the season. Would have preferred it to be on a permanent basis, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. I'm just glad we've got someone through the door before the season starts. Patching up that right wing-back position was an absolute necessity for Preston this summer. We saw how burnt out Brad Potts was in that role in the second half of last season, especially when he picked up that injury. And with obviously Alan Brown no longer being at the club, he would often fill in that right wing-back role. Having someone like Kesler-Hayden, who is a different profile to someone like a Brad Potts, I think could serve us really quite well this season for sure. He obviously spent the first half of last season on loan with Plymouth and then was involved in the first team for Villa a little bit in the second half of last season. Villa still clearly rate him for the future. He signed a new contract with them back in the summer. Looking forward to seeing how he gets on in North End for sure. We've seen Derby signing Rohan Luthra, the goalkeeper, joining the Rams on a free transfer. He'll be coming into Paul Warne's side as a backup option. Newcastle United have completed the signing of Sheffield United forward William Asula. We spoke about this one in a little bit more detail on last time's video, but it has since been confirmed. We've also seen Watford signing Brazilian centre-half Keiki Almeida, who's coming over from Fluminense. The young defender joins Watford on a long-term contract until the summer of 2029. Doesn't have that much first-team experience behind him, but clearly is a player that Watford rate for the future. And we've got a big confirmation from Sheffield Wednesday, who have announced the signing of Ike Ugbo, this time on a permanent basis. Really good bit of business there from Wednesday. The striker obviously did really well on loan at Hillsborough in the second half of last season, where he scored 7 goals. This time returning on a permanent basis. It's been floated that the fee being worth around about £3 million, so Wednesday have put up a decent chunk of change to get this deal done, and have also fended off a fair few championship clubs as well. A number of sides were interested in the forward, but nice bit of business there from Wednesday, I have to say. But those are some of the done deals which have gone through in the championship over these past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. We've spoken about Tyrese Campbell a few times on the channel over the summer, obviously currently a free agent. He's got a few offers on the table right now. Going off the latest reports, it's thought that Sheffield United are leading the race to snap him up, but he's also got contract offers on the table from Swansea and former club Stoke City as well, which is quite interesting. Stoke obviously looking to bring in another forward. It's interesting that they are willing to go back in for Campbell, but as of recording, does look like the Blades are leading the race to sign him. Now, a few days ago, it seemed more than likely that Wolves defender Kiana Hover was on his way to sign for Sheffield United. Everything seemed to be in place for that deal to go through, but quite crucially, the defender failed his medical at Sheffield United and so won't be signing for the Blades this summer. He's obviously had a couple of loan spells out with Stoke City in the Championship. Stoke, who still seem to be monitoring the situation regarding the defender and could go in for him themselves, but Sheffield United themselves will be moving on to other targets. Another loanee who could be returning to Stoke is Luke Cundle. The Potters also exploring a deal for the Wolves midfielder at the moment. Obviously, he spent the second half of last season on loan with Stoke, has worked with Schumacher quite a bit as well from his time previously at Plymouth as well. Bit hit and miss, I thought, Cundle in that second half of last season with Stoke, but did contribute with 4 goal contributions, 2 goals and 2 assists in that loan spell. I think a move back to the Championship looks more than likely right now. Speaking of Stoke City, they're still very much in the race to sign Tom Cannon, as they're trying to get the other number 9 over the line this summer to complement someone like Sam Gallagher. More of a goal-scoring forward is what they're after at the moment. Been plenty of talk and speculation surrounding Cannon so far this summer. Seems to be the 3 clubs that are leading the race and are most interested in snapping him up on loan are Stoke, Sheffield United and West Brom. They're certainly the clubs that have most prominently been linked with him over these last few days. Crystal Palace winger Jezran Raksaki appears to be on his way to Sheffield United. He'll be joining the Blades on a season-long loan deal. Now, plenty of Championship clubs have been chasing the Crystal Palace winger this summer. We've spoken about him quite a few times on the channel, the likes of QPR, Leeds, Hull City, all among the clubs who have seen linked. But it appears as if the Blades have won the race for his signature. Now, quite a bit is going into this loan deal. It's been reported that Sheffield United will cover all of his wages, as well as paying a loan fee of up to £1 million for the winger. Sheffield United will also have a clause where they're able to take him back at any point of the season as well. So based on all those clauses, it is quite an ambitious loan deal, but very excited to see him in the Championship for sure. It does look like former Preston North End winger Liam Millar will be on his way to sign for Hull City. I've seen a few different price tags mentioned, but looks like a deal's been agreed of anywhere between 1.5 million to 2.5 million. And honestly, I think Hull are getting a decent deal here. I really do. He obviously spent last season out on loan with North End in the Championship, was probably Preston's brightest attacking spark. Certainly in terms of being able to get you up and out of your seat. There was quite a bit of inconsistency in his play, but I think you expect that with most Championship wingers. I think also the sort of football that Hull are going to want to play this season, that's going to be more suited to Millar compared to last season at Preston when he was sort of shoehorned into a wing-back system, which really didn't play to his strengths a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong, he's not on the same level as Jaden Philogene, obviously someone who's going to look to fill the boots of this season, but still a really tidy pickup there from Hull, I'd say. Another addition at Hull City looks like it's going to be Finlay Burns, who's going to be joining the club on loan from Manchester City for the season. He spent last season out on loan with Stevenage in League One. Did fairly well during that loan spell, and this will obviously be that next stage of his development. Hull have also lodged a bid for Wigan Athletic defender Charlie Hughes, who's obviously really highly rated at League One level, with the offer being worth around 5 million, which could rise to around 7 with add-ons included, obviously. A position that Hull are wanting to strengthen, especially after the departure of the popular Jacob Greaves. From a Hull perspective, you can certainly see the value in going after someone like Charlie Hughes. He's only 20 years old. He's already got a decent amount of experience and games behind him as well at that age. But crucially, and from a Wigan Athletic point of view, the defender is under contract until 2028. Plymouth Argyle were among the Championship clubs who are keen on signing Liverpool forward Jayden Danns on loan for this season. However, it appears as if those plans have been scuppered, as the young striker has picked up an injury and is set to miss the next 2 months due to a back injury. With that being the case, it seems more than likely that he'll probably be sticking around at Liverpool, probably until January, then maybe a loan move could be sanctioned from there. Isaac Hayden will be allowed to go out on loan by Newcastle once again this summer. Quite a few Championship clubs have expressed an interest in the midfielder. He obviously spent the second half of last season with QPR. QPR are among the clubs who are interested in signing him on loan, but they do face a bit of competition as the likes of Hull City and West Brom are also interested in the experienced midfielder. I've seen both Oxford United and Blackburn Rovers being linked with a move for former Birmingham striker Scott Hogan, who is available as a free transfer this summer upon his release by Birmingham. I think it's fair to say, I mean, he didn't have a great year for Birmingham last season, did he? In front of goal, he was poor. He was one of the most wasteful strikers in the league. And at 32 years old now, I can't imagine any club that is going to sign him is going to be offering him a big, long contract or anything like that. But on a 1-year deal, maybe. Be interested to see if he does end up at Blackburn or Oxford. Could we see Sander Berge returning to the Premier League? Well, Manchester United have held initial talks with Burnley over a deal for the 26-year-old midfielder. Now, quite crucially for Burnley, he does have another 3 years left in his deal at Turf Moor, and so they are in a decent position to negotiate with Manchester United here. Obviously, United, who do have a history of overpaying for players in the past. It's thought that Burnley are looking for a fee of around 30 million to sell one of their prized assets this summer, although Manchester United seemingly value him at closer to 20 million. Quite a lot has been made of this transfer rumour, as is often the case when Manchester United are linked with any players. Definitely think he is a Premier League standard player at a bare minimum though, and Burnley having him in the Championship for this upcoming season would be a bit of a cheat code. We'll no doubt get a bit more clarity on that story over these next coming days, but as of right now, there is a strong possibility that we could see the Burnley midfielder playing at Old Trafford next season. And we're seeing my team Preston North End being heavily linked with a move for Conrad Wallum. Now, there have been loose links to the Slavia Prague player throughout the summer, but these have really ramped up over these past few days, especially since it's transpired that the player has recently submitted a transfer request to try and push a deal going through. Having read up on the player over these past few days, it does look like it would be quite quite an ambitious move for Preston. It's been floated that it would be a club record fee to bring him to Preston as well. He'd be someone who would probably play on that left-hand side for us. He is very versatile. He's played a number of different roles for Slavia Prague. He played in the Europa League last season for them as well and had decent output throughout the campaign, scored 7 goals and got 8 assists across all competitions. With Preston looking for that spark, that Liam Millar replacement, this would be a really ambitious deal if we are able to get it over the line. But there you guys have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, anything else that we missed today, make sure to get it in the comments down below. But apart from that, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.